get out of your sweatpants, brush your hair, put on a little lipstick, and get ready every single day. Now listen, what if I told you there was one teeny tiny thing that you could do that would help you make more money, win way bigger opportunities, and gain more respect? This one tiny little thing will make people so curious about you, and you will have an undeniable influence. This one teeny tiny thing will help you make a stellar first impression and will bring you out of any negative mindset that you might have. This one thing is criminally overlooked when it comes to truly transforming yourself. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that one thing is, why it matters so incredibly much, and a very simple system for you to execute every single day. Let's go. So we're sales girls, and one thing about sales girls is we're very aware of human nature. And it's very easy to say, don't judge a book by its cover, and it's really, important to look at someone on the inside and not the outside. And listen, I agree with that. I really do. But my question is, if you don't judge a book by its cover, what are you going to judge it on? And as humans, there are just some human nature principles that are really important to be aware of and to work with, because when you work with human nature, it will work for you. We are incredibly visual people. More than half of our brain is used to visually process things. We are looking to see if we're safe. We're looking to see if we are excited about something, if something looks good, if something looks bad. All of that visual processing is how we make decisions. There are two human nature principles that I want to tell you about before I get started into the three things that are really important about this, and that is the halo effect and the cognitive bias effect. Let's talk about the cognitive bias effect first. So anytime you have a first impression of someone, that first impression, first of all, is critical, and you only have 0.01 seconds to make a first impression. What does that mean? That means you can't even open your mouth. You don't have enough time to say a single word to make a first impression. And after that first impression is made, people and you will use, your brain does something called the cognitive bias effect, where it is fighting for it to prove itself right. So if you are interacting with someone and you have a micro first impression and you think, oh, they're rude, you are going to spend all your time looking for things about them that prove that they are rude. Now, someone else could have a totally opposite first impression, and they are looking for things to prove that they are nice. When you make that first positive first impression, people are fighting to prove to themselves that you are a positive person. The other human nature principle is called the halo effect. The halo effect basically means if you see something good about someone, you automatically assume that they have a lot of other positive characteristics. So, for example, it's been known to associate clothing that fits properly. Like when you go get your clothes just slightly altered, they fit perfectly, fit you like a glove. That has been associated with wealthy people. And other positive characteristics typically go with wealthy people, like discipline, people that are nice, people that are helpful, people that are encouraging. And, it's interesting because I feel like society tells us that wealthy people are not nice. Like I think about the kids' movies that my kids watch. The wealthy person is like the evil millionaire. But actually, we typically in human nature, we see wealthy people and we associate other positive characteristics. So something as simple as wearing clothing that fits you can make you come across as wealthy, and therefore people start to associate other positive characteristics with you. So it's really cool. Like what you wear says something. And when you know what you're trying to say, and when you know how to dress in a way that says exactly what you want it to say, you can really have some control on what people think about you, and also really have some leverage in those first impressions and those initial conversations. So we just talked about how getting ready can really affect how other people perceive you. But if I'm being honest, what I really want to focus on is how getting ready changes you from the inside out. And it helps you foster your focus it helps foster your transformation, and it helps fosters your self-image. So let's talk about fostering your focus. Getting ready every day fosters your focus to be able to focus on other people and to be focused on opportunities. You are experiencing opportunity every day, but a lot of you aren't ready to step into opportunity. One thing I love to do as a journaling practice is to actually journal with a style called best case scenario journaling. Whether I have a meeting coming up or a big day, a big speaking engagement, maybe I'm about to do some work that I ain't even really that excited to do. If you know, you know. But I will sit there and I will journal, okay, what is the best case scenario of what this work session is going to look like or what this day is going to look like? I highly recommend doing that in the morning, journaling best case scenario, and then dressing like you are prepared for that best case scenario to happen. I was preparing for this video and I was trying to pinpoint a few specific moments where I was so thankful that I was ready. And honestly, there was too many to count. But I do have a couple of scenarios where I made it a point to get ready in the morning and to actually walk into Starbucks every day. Of course, you can do a mobile order, you can run in the drive-thru and make it super easy, but I wanted to make it a adamant decision to get ready for best case scenario and basically assume that I was going to rub shoulders with important people no matter what building I went into. And Starbucks, I mean, at the time I didn't really go that many places. That was my arena to practice that. And when I say I ended up rubbing shoulders and making friends and gaining a lifelong mentor through that process, that is the truth. And to this day, there are some shoulder rubbing sentences that this person said to me that I think about every single day. And it started simply from getting ready and walking into a building and assuming the best case scenario. Now, one thing that it also really helps you do is focus on others. So I just talked about focusing on opportunity, but really that fuels into focusing on other people. I want you to think about the last time you went into the grocery store and you weren't ready. You had a hat on, you hadn't done your makeup, maybe you weren't wearing a bra. Okay, I've been there too, sister. I know exactly what that's like. And all you can think about is, dear Lord, please don't let me see anybody. And if you do see somebody, you dodge. You absolutely run the opposite direction. Now, what does this do? This makes you self-centered. This makes you focused on yourself. When you are ready, you actually can stop thinking about yourself. You can walk into a grocery store, you can run into a neighbor, and you can legitimately just be like, I'm willing and open-handed and ready to really connect with anybody. I have two specific scenarios, one bad and one good, that I want to share with you that really proves this point. I have an amazing neighbor, and I hadn't seen her in a while, and I would see her husband occasionally, and I would say, hey, hey, I hadn't seen your wife, like, how's she doing? And he just kind of said, she wasn't really doing that well. She was having a hard time, kind of going through a slump. And I made a mental note. I said, oh gosh, like the next time I see her, I'm just going to give her a really big hug. And there was one day that I wasn't ready, and it was in the afternoon, and I had, my hair on top of my head. I hadn't showered. I had my pajamas on, and I ended up going to the mailbox, and I saw her walking into her house. And when I saw her, I ran inside. I didn't want to be seen. And that was actually the day that I decided I am not going to miss out on opportunity to connect with people because I didn't take the time to take care of me for 10 minutes in the morning. And once I made that decision, it wasn't long after that I was driving very early in the morning. I was driving to work and I had just gotten ready. I just got my colors done and I knew exactly what colors to wear that was going to harmonize with my skin tone. And I had some new glasses on. And I actually was driving by a woman that I had recently met. She was walking her dog. And I don't know about you, but usually I'm like, let's just not make eye contact and take a hard right, okay? But I was like, no, I'm actually gonna stop and roll down my window and I'm gonna connect with her. And the coolest thing is that she looked at me and she said, you look like so put together. What do you do? I'm so curious. Now, if you're a sales girl, you know all you want is for people to be curious about what you do. That opens the door for you to have a conversation that could really be one conversation away from you having a life-changing client or a life-changing connection. You just never know what doors would open. And genuinely, that door, for you to open it, the door, all it is you getting ready every single day. All right, let's talk about fostering your transformation. Have you ever seen somebody like on stage, or maybe you watched a conversation happen, or maybe you saw a YouTube video? I know I see people interviewing people on the streets and they're like, what do you do for a living? Or, hey, you're a singer, don't you want to sing in front of my 9 million follower TikTok, and maybe you have your big break, and people just crumble, or they don't do a good job, or they really suffer in front of everybody. I've seen that plenty of times. And it's very easy to watch those videos and think, oh, if that was me, this is how I would have done it. Oh, if that was me, I would have stepped up to the plate. Oh, if that was me, I would have said it just like this. And you think that's the case, but here's my counter. You should be thinking, if I was wearing this and that happened to me, then this is what I would have done. Because studies show that what you wear affects how you act. And even more importantly, how you think. There's something called enclothed cognition, which basically means the clothes that you wear, you actually think differently from wearing them. There's a study done where they had two groups of people and they both gave them the same exact white coat to wear. They said, hey, you're wearing a painter's coat and you're wearing a doctor's coat. Now go and take a test. And so those two groups went and took a test, one thinking they had a painter's coat on and one thinking they had a doctor's coat on. And turns out the people with the doctor's coat on performed extremely better than the ones with the painter coats on. How could that be? They wore the same exact coats, but these two groups of people attached a different meaning to this coat, and therefore got different results. Now, if you're a sales girl, you're probably really into developing yourself and really always in the process of transforming yourself. And that is a lot of hard work. In fact, let me show you what my transformation process kind of looks like. These are my journals just over the last 2 years. These right here. This is the hard work that goes into rewiring my brain and changing really who I am from the inside out. It is a constant process of being aware and conscious of your thoughts and how you're thinking. And it is no joke. You were always a student of yourself. Now, this is a very important thing to be doing, but there's also a way that you can kind of bypass this process and transform yourself immediately. And that, my friends, is through what you wear. Clothing is criminally overlooked for what you can use to actually transform yourself. And I'm going to talk about in just a second your self-image and how to really categorize your self-image when it comes to your clothing. But I know it can be really tempting to kind of dress in the state that you're in, and however you wake up feeling, you just get dressed like that. I know my husband, I love him to death. The Lord created that man for me. He is everything to me. And there's this is the one thing that drives me insane. It is the fact that he wears a hood when he doesn't feel good. Okay, he walks around with a hood on his head, and I'm like, why do you have that hood on? I cannot stand a hood on inside. It just bothers me like crazy. So why do you have that hood on? And he says, I don't feel good, so I wear this. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And there's no way that you dressing like that is making you feel any better. Do you not feel good and so you're wearing the hood, or is the hood the very thing that's not making you feel good? In fact, when I don't feel good, whether I feel kind of like self-doubt or I feel uncomfortable, I feel a little anxious, I feel a little nervous, I have those feelings all day, every day. I joke about how I am nauseous all the time because I'm in the arena, I'm in the game, I'm pushing my chips in. I know that you feel that way a little bit too. And therefore, that is the very reason you have got to dress like what? Like you feel like $20 million because you can dress like you're thinking, or you can dress in a way that pulls you out of your drab mindset. It is a choice. And simply by choosing consciously an outfit that makes you think and feel totally different, you will have a completely different day and transform yourself within an instant. The third and final point is all about fostering your self-image. The act of getting ready is a crucial part of your routine to really have a moment and consciously decide what that self-image is. I have developed what I call a get ready bare minimum protocol. And, I'm not dressing like I'm going to the Grammys every single day, that's for sure. But I definitely have a bare minimum standard that keeps me in a place where I can look at myself and think, okay, yeah, that matches how I see myself on the inside. It all actually started when I had my second baby. My first postpartum was actually a very kind of smooth ride, surprisingly. My second one was not. It was a much more challenging season. And I fell into this rut of like not taking care of myself at all, not showering, not seeing the sunshine in any capacity. And it was a very, very dark season. And I'm so thankful for my husband because he was the one who basically made me take a shower every day. And I know that sounds really obvious, like shower every day. But I know as girls, like we can take a shower at night and then we're good. We don't need one in the morning because we just showered, we just wash our hair. But the shower itself is not about cleanliness all the time. Sometimes it's just a reset button. Like just get water on your body in some capacity to hit the reset button. Another thing that's really important about warm water is that it can ignite a level of creativity. If you're anything like me, I'm always solving problems. There's always something that I'm trying to make better or do differently. And warm water that puts you in a relaxed state helps you be way more creative. We say shower thoughts all the time. Like, hey, I just had a shower thought. I just was in the shower and I had an idea. Take a shower for your brain and for you to mentally just reset. So shower is part of my get ready protocol. I wear something that matches, okay? No husband's t-shirts. No, listen, I had all kinds of disgusting 10-year sorority t-shirts that had toothpaste stains all over them. Get rid of them. It has to match in some capacity. Shoes. Shoes are the thing in between you and the world. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but the act of putting on your shoes, just notice the next time you put on shoes, you might actually walk faster and you actually might put your shoulders back a little bit. And I always like to just kind of have like a pep in my step in some capacity to make me remind myself like I'm going places. There is a goal that I'm walking towards and shoes are kind of like a mental reminder of that. I brush my hair somehow, some way. I highly recommend some sort of heatless curls that you can sleep in. It takes 5 minutes for you to look like you just got a fresh blowout. And I just do a little skincare, a little SPF, and some lipstick. And that is my get ready protocol that makes me feel like I can go into the world and look at people in the eye and smile at them. I can go into the world and look at people in the eye and be so curious about them. I can go into the world and look at people in the eye and I can disappear when I do my basic sales girl get ready protocol. When you don't have these standards and you kind of slip, I know in 2020, a lot of us started to slip and just wear the sweatpants every day and we never wore shoes and we just wore socks. You will slowly but surely start to experience something called a self-discrepancy theory. So when I first got married, we would go on trips with some of our best couple friends. Their names were Emily and Jeffrey. They're still some of our best friends. And Jeffrey had high Delta status and he always got upgraded. And so whenever we would travel with him, he would let me have his first class seat and I would sit with my best friend, Emily. And I remember the first couple of times I sat in first class, I actually wasn't comfortable at all. I felt really undeserving. I felt out of place. I felt like I didn't know how to carry myself. And it was actually a very uncomfortable situation. And now that I have grown and I've learned about the human brain, I realize it's because when our self-image in our environment doesn't match how we see ourselves, we start to feel this almost like anxiety type feeling. What's very ironic is I now only sit first class and I feel very anxious, and I feel this self-discrepancy theory when I sit in, the back of the plane if I have to. And it's so normal, it's so common, but to feel this, in fact, I joke about how my refrigerator, I cannot stand my refrigerator. It sends me into this self-discrepancy place. I'm like, my refrigerator doesn't match how I see myself, which is like hilarious when you think about it. But what's cool is you making sure that you are dressed according to how you see yourself in your head keeps that anxiety down and keeps you feeling a little bit more sharp. Now, I will say, as you start to dress as somebody, which we're going to talk about in just a second, dress as someone that you want to be, not necessarily someone that you feel like right now, you'll feel a little bit of this. And you can know that you'll feel that self-discrepancy theory, but it's in the right direction. You're like, I don't feel like this person, I call myself $20 million Macy. I don't feel like $20 million Macy yet, but I'm willing to feel this uncomfortable for a little bit because I know eventually it's going to feel like second nature. So what version of you should you be dressing? It's a good question. We all carry all different kinds of identities. We're moms, we're business owners, we're leaders, we're employees, we're sisters. We got all kinds of roles to play. And clothing is such a beautiful thing that you can use to slip in and out of those identities. Today, what I want to do is give you 3 identities that you can really focus on and use as a filter as you are shopping and as you are getting ready every day. The first identity for you to think about is the person that you hope to be. This is your heroic self. I want you to think about a hero. Like in the movies, Superman and Batman, they don't look like everybody else. They stand out as the person that is in charge. And there are arenas that it would really benefit you to really dress like that heroic self. I believe you can power dress your way into conversations and into big rooms. This is that identity. Now, I think a lot of people shy away from buying clothes for this heroic identity because they think, I'll never wear that. I'll only wear it once. I'll have nothing to go to. But baby, you want to be ready, right? We are ready for opportunity. And I think you'll be surprised at how many more opportunities you will see. They were always there, but you'll see them because you have those clothing in your closet. This is also a really cool way to use these clothes to bridge the gap of who you are now and who you would like to be. So let me show you some of my heroic identity pieces. I kind of have them all tucked back in here. This is one of my newer favorite ones. It's kind of a little set we have here. I mean, listen, I'm not going to church in this, right? I'm not going to church in this, but I am going to go to a conference. I am going to speak on a panel. I am going to speak on stage. And I'll tell you what, like, I desire to be a world-renowned speaker, the most sought out female sales speaker in the world. And baby, like, this is a practice of me being like, catch me on stage in this. I don't know what stage, but she's going to be a big one. So this is one of my favorite pieces. This is also another one of my favorite suits. I have this is Nadine Marabi, which I love, but this is definitely a power suit moment. I thought about wearing this to a dinner and I tried it on and I was like, no, this must be for my heroic self in the right time, in the right place. So save them for when you really want to turn it on. I have, this is my Alexander Wang suit that not Alexander Wang, Alexander McQueen. One thing that is really important is that if you are speaking on stage with other speakers, I mean, one day I plan to speak on stage with Tony Robbins. Can I get an amen? I want to make sure that I look like I can hang with Tony Robbins. And so I'm preparing for when that day is here. I can pull out my suit for when I look right, for when I need to look right. Can I get a retweet? The second identity, this is more like a beware identity. It is your trapped identity. It is the person that you fear to be. Stephen Pressfield, from The War of Art, he's the author of the book, The War of Art. He says that people have two lives. They can live a lived life or an unlived life. And the unlived life is due to basically being beaten by their resistance. And these clothes are the clothes that you would naturally reach to when you aren't feeling your best. It's the clothes that you put on and you think, I don't love this. Like, this isn't super flattering, but it's fine. It's no big deal. And I'll tell you what, I noticed that when I kind of went on this fashion transformation journey, I found myself trying to put pieces together and it wasn't just right and I didn't love it, but my mindset was like, oh, it's good enough, it's fine. And I would just encourage you to question that it is fine, because you will subconsciously show up as a drab version of yourself if you were thinking, man, this isn't my best. Aren't you going to act in a way that's not your best? So I actually don't have anything to show you in here because I am on a constant journey of getting rid of those clothes. I'll give you an example. One thing that I noticed about myself when I was like trying on my jeans and I was thinking, okay, like, am I proud if someone sees me in these clothes? And it was ripped jeans for me personally. It's not going to be for everybody, but for me, when I wore ripped jeans, I felt unpolished, I felt ragged, and I did not feel proud of myself in ripped jeans. So I just got rid of the ripped jeans. For you, it could be something totally different. I know somebody that she will not wear sweatshirts or shirts with words on them. That is one thing that sends her in her trapped self. And that's great. That's not really a problem for me, but for her, she does not align with her heroic identity. No problem, just get rid of it. So you just kind of having like a little bit of a journal session and writing out like, okay, who is my heroic self? And what does she feel like? What does she look like? How would someone describe her? Write down those characteristics and just kind of look in your closet and think, where are those pieces? And if there are pieces that are totally the opposite of that and send you in a drab place, get rid of them. The third and final identity that you should be dressing for is the person you are most of the time, your most authentic self. Now, I don't know about you, but sometimes for me personally, I am actually more comfortable on stage than I am like going to dinner with some girlfriends. I don't know what it is. I just love to be in my element. I love to coach people. I love to teach sales. I love to film YouTube videos. Like, this is my jam right here. And then when I have to go do like mom things or friend things, like I want to be a great friend and I want to go to the PTA meetings and I want to go to my son's Christmas holiday performance. I can't wait. That's next week. But I want to be able to mentally transition into that place that's out of kind of my extraordinary world. Think about extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. It is extra. It's not ordinary, it's extra. But my most authentic self, that world is a little bit more ordinary, and I want to be able to relate with people. I want people to be able to feel like they can approach me and be my friend and hang out and ask me to like go to the movie or go to, I know that sounds so simple and maybe even a little civilian, but that's important for life to have lots of relationships, not just work relationships. So I actually have a whole wardrobe that I assign to as my most authentic self, the self that I am the most of the time. A lot of times that's just kind of like nicer workout clothes when I'm doing my mom things. I also have just like little sweaters, like a little sweater like this is kind of cute that you can tuck in your bra and have some high-waisted jeans. This is another version of that. It's like a little purple sweater that I love. These clothes are also really good to wear. Like, I just went to a mastermind at a beach house. It's not appropriate for me to dress as, in $20 million Macy, but I still want to look polished. And also I always take into account of whose event that I'm going to. Like, you never want to look like you are overpowering the other person's event. You were there to support that person, not take over that person. And so I like to go a little dressed down to look like I'm here to support and not here to, like I said, take over. So all those pieces are really important for it as well. Clothes can be such a source of enjoyment because it really helps you navigate these different arenas, these different identities, and helps you kind of turn your brain on and off. I love to tell the story that I read in the book called Alter Ego. It's about Clark Kent and Superman. As we all know, Superman goes into his photo booth, or excuse me, Clark Kent goes into his photo booth and turns into Superman so that he can go save the world. But what the book says is Superman isn't the alter ego, Clark Kent is the alter ego, because Superman has to dress like a humble reporter so that he can go do the most important thing of all, which is go into the world to understand people. And as sales girls, like that is a huge mission for us, is to understand people so we can communicate to them and bring them into an extraordinary life with our products, offers, or services. Comment below your biggest aha or takeaway moment from this video. I hope you feel encouraged by the bare minimum get ready protocol and start implementing it right away. So comment below, let me know, and as always, let us know what you want to see next. See ya.